All right. I get to do this without Chris, probably.
What?
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, how do I even do the intro? I don't know. So I'm the Grumpy Dungeon Master Jay. We are joined this time by, I guess you're Grumpy Dungeon Master Kristian at this point, because you've done enough of them with us.
Yeah,
I've been here a minute.
Yep.
Yeah, that's fair.
And we're also joined by our other friend Dan, who is also a longtime Dungeon Master, probably DMing as long as me, if not longer.
Yeah, I was just grumping to Kristian before you got on.
Oh, about what?
Roll20 not talking with D&D Beyond and it becoming a thing when you're playing a very short game and you spend 20 minutes trying to unravel why somebody's buttons from D&D Beyond aren't transferring over to Roll20 and displaying to everybody else, or it's not rolling damage or whatever. It's just, I kind of wish that I'd started online gaming on D&D Beyond whenever it started rather than Roll20, because I would have been able to buy all the stuff there, but instead I bought everything in Roll20 and not buying it again, especially with D&D 2024 being a thing.
Yeah, because you have to buy a copy on Roll20 and a copy on D&D Beyond,
Yeah.
and then a physical copy because they don't let you just do both for the cost of one.
Yeah, it's like I said, grumpy.
Yeah.
A little grumpy.
I'm going to be honest. I didn't even know that Roll20 and D&D Beyond actually talked. I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah, they do. They do.
Yeah, it'll talk. I mean, that's how Chris runs his stuff, is off D&D Beyond and Foundry.
Yeah, I knew Foundry did. I just didn't know Roll20 did.
Yeah, they have for years.
I mean, I haven't used Roll20 since 2020, probably 2021. Yeah, early 2021.
You're old school and you only do in person.
That's right.
I think Kristian and I were a little jealous.
Yes.
I would prefer to only do in person, but man, all my friends are all spread out now. It's hard to get everybody together.
You two also live in Atlanta, where it takes you 45 minutes to go 5 miles.
We live in Atlanta. You mean we live outside of Atlanta? He lives north. I live east. It's not really. I mean, on a good day without traffic, it's 45 minutes to his house.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I know. I know. I lived there. You know, I lived 15 minutes from where I work, and it took me 45 to get there. So.
Yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah. Look, you know, I personally have zero interest in ever doing online tabletop, but I am damn glad it exists.
Yeah, it gets my fill of what I'm looking for. It's not exactly what I want, but it definitely hits the right buttons.
Yeah, like we did it for a year during the whole COVID pandemic, and it scratched the itch. You know, it wasn't what we wanted, and we were incredibly glad when we were able to get back together.
Mm-hmm.
But if that wasn't an option, yeah, okay, I'll stay at home and play online if I don't have a choice.
Yeah, if everyone's sick or something, yeah, it's a good option. It's better than not playing.
Damn right.
It's better than not playing, that's for sure.
That's the important part.
Yep. So I think we all had a couple of things to at least chat about tonight. By the way, I won't be surprised if Chris just fucking hops in. He's done that before where he's like, I'm on vacation, and then he just joins.
The kid's asleep, and my wife's asleep too, so now I can talk.
Yeah.
What a jerk.
Yeah, he's done that to me before, so yeah. Wouldn't be surprised. I think the one time he did that, he was on vacation, and I wasn't expecting him to be back for like another day or two, and then he just fucking showed up mid-podcast.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about the Dungeons and Dragons 2024 /5.5/5R or 5 revised.
Yeah, that's the new hotness.
Yeah.
It went from Dungeons and Dragons 2024 till somebody happened to see a screenshot of somebody editing the DMG, and it was shown as like Dungeons and Dragons 5R as in revised.
It was art from one of the 50th anniversary like Magic the Gathering sets, and it was art that was from the DMG, but it was credited as art from D&D 5th edition revised.
Okay. Yeah.
So they're like, oh, 5 revised, 5R, 5E versus 5R. That's easy.
Yeah, 5R. Look, I am down with 5R. I don't like Dungeons and Dragons 2024. That's just too much. But D&D 5.5, I can handle that, or D&D 5R. Those work nicely.
Yeah, they're not bad. It's not bad.
Yeah. So 5R it is. That's what we're gonna run with, I think.
Sounds good
Works
to me.
for me.
Yep. I know Chris was on board, so let's bitch about the conjure minor elementals. Apparently
Woo! Yeah.
Okay.
apparently
So
there's a big to
times.
there's a big to do about this thing, and
There
I've read
is a big to
yeah.
do about it. It was so this came across this survived somehow from playtest. This isn't like something that was just a surprise entry in the new PHP. They playtested this in Unearthed Arcana and gave it to people, and people noticed it then, pointed it out across, D&D creators on YouTube, people on Reddit. Everyone saw the problem then. And lots of people mentioned that they put it in the survey, so they brought it up in the surveys about how this was way too broken and this was not going to be good. And then it just made it into the rulebook unscathed, still completely broken like it is.
Yep. I've read over the thing, and I'll actually just read the exact wordings from what I could find online of it, so that everybody's on board. All right, conjure minor elementals, a level 4 conjuration, druid, and wizard spell. Casting time is an action. Range is self only. Components verbal somatic. It is concentration up to 10 minutes. You conjure spirits from the elemental planes that fit around you in a 15-foot emanation for the duration. Until the spell ends, any attack you make deals an extra 2d8 damage when you hit a creature in the emanation. This damage can be acid, cold, fire, or lightning, your choice when you make the attack. In addition, the ground in the emanation is difficult terrain for your enemies. You can also use a higher level spell slot to increase the damage by 2d8 per spell slot above level 4. So what are the stupid builds that people are going with for this thing?
Here's one of the big stupid ones, and you can do it one of two ways. The class doesn't matter. You can either pick it as a wizard, and people were doing it as the old Bladesinger wizard. So using that because they mentioned in the rulebook that you can use the old classes, old subclasses. So they're doing the Bladesinger or as a Valor Bard. So either you take most of your levels in that. When they do the 20th level build, you end up as like 17 levels of either Bladesinger Wizard or Valor Bard, 2 levels of Fighter, so you get Action Surge. Not for the spells, but it's key there, so you get Action Surge, and then you get a 1 level of Warlock. For Eldritch Blast.
Yeah, Eldritch Blast, and what's the fire one? The 2nd level fire spell that's a problem with it.
Scorching Ray.
Scorching
Ray is also a problem. Yeah, it would be a problem with just a wizard using Scorching Ray. But the way they've broken it is so the Valor Bard gets a thing. Valor Bard and Bladesingers both get the thing where at 6th level, when they get their second attack, you can sub out one of your attacks for the casting of a cantrip. Well, obviously, you're going to sub it out for Eldritch Blast because at the higher levels, you're going to be, even at 11th level, you're going to get 3 Eldritch Blasts.
Yeah, so you get 1 sword attack and then 3 Eldritch Blast attacks.
And then 3 Eldritch Blast attacks, and each of those attacks can add the extra damage from Conjure Minor Elementals on it.
Yeah.
And then when you get higher level, if you take 2 levels of Fighter, you Action Surge, you're making another attack and subbing out your second attack again for Eldritch Blast. And that way you are just...
So that the Action Surge thing and like the 20th level build, like that's the hey, this is on if somebody made a one shot and I wanted to make a real stupid character, this is what I'd make. Like the Supernova build, like that's cool and all, but the problem isn't actually like the 17th level build. It's actually like the 10th or 11th level characters running around with just, I mean, don't even like multi-class. You're just a druid who happens to be 13th level. You cast this, you upcast it. So now it's doing plus 6d8 per attack. You upcast your Scorching Rays. You upcast another Scorching Ray. Tack on if you're using 5e 2014, wherever we're calling it, and you have a Wildfire Druid. You're adding another d8 to your fire damage, in addition to that, your first attack on that too. I mean, and it's ridiculous. It just gets ridiculous quickly. And like, there's other just flat out just normal ass wizard builds that do this. Like, if you're using all of the 2014 rules, you can use Acquisitions Incorporated. You can use Jim's Magic Missile, which is Magic Missile, except it has an attack roll for each of them. So you have 3 at first level. Upcasting that to 5th level, you have an additional 4. 7 fucking attacks plus 68 damage. for each of the attacks.
Yeah.
Like it's ridiculous.
So,
I mean,
The
hold
big
on.
problem with it is that upcast of each level grants it an additional 2d8,
yeah,
which is a ridiculous amount of damage. It's because there's another spell that's similar to this. I think it came out in Tasha's, but it's also in the new book. Like Spirit Shroud. It's kind of
right.
like it's the poor man's Spirit Guardians,
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
but it
It's more
adds
of
to
a
your
poor man's hex, really.
yeah, but it adds to your attacks too. It's when you do, damage, they deal a little bit of extra damage whenever you make an attack. But for its upcast is for every 2 levels above the spell slot, you get 1 extra d8 of damage.
Yep.
Yeah. That sounds more reasonable.
And
Yeah.
that seems like a balanced spell for me. It's a bonus action to cast, which is nice. It's 3rd level, so it's kind of like like I said, it's kind of like Hex, except it only affects things within 10 feet of you.
Yep.
Whereas Hex is at whatever range, and Hunter's Mark's the same way. So Conjure Minor Animals, bigger range, 15 feet instead of 10 feet, which doesn't seem significant, but if you have a fighter that's locking somebody down with like a Polearm Master build or something like that, like those guys aren't getting to you. And like there's already different builds you can have with a Spell Sniper in 2024, which allows you to cast in combat if somebody's right next to you with a ranged attack, and you don't have to uh, cast at disadvantage. There's that. There's Warcaster.
Yep.
You're not losing your concentration. You're not
Oh,
going.
yeah. Losing concentration, that doesn't happen too often once you have Warcaster, especially.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at this thing at the level you get it at. Okay, 7th level. Say you're just a wizard. Nothing strange. No
Just a
crazy
wizard.
build. Just a fucking wizard. You didn't even take the feat to get Eldritch Blast or anything. So you have
Well, you actually, that is a thing. You cannot actually take the feat to take Eldritch Blast in 2024 because Magic Initiate only allows you to take spells from Cleric, Druid, and Wizard now, which is
well, okay,
actually a good thing.
yeah.
But it doesn't prevent you from multi-class dipping.
Just assuming that you were, okay, say you're using the 2014 rules and you're a wizard from that, so either way, you don't have Eldritch Blast. So the only real busted thing is Scorching Ray, which is 3 attacks, and every one of those attacks deals 2d6 fire damage if you don't upcast this thing. And then on top of that, you're looking at 2d8 damage. So what's the math on that? Like an average would probably be 7 points from the Scorching Ray if it hits.
And
7,
another
14,
10
21.
points from each of the Conjure Minor Animals. So
Yeah.
17 times 3, 21, 51 points of damage, which is reasonable. That's
If
not
and
terrible. That's a
if
single
and
target.
and that's
Whatever.
if you land every attack.
Yeah.
That 7th level, that's a lot of damage, but that is not busted level of damage.
But you also have to spend an action casting it. Conjure Minor Animals first to set yourself up because it's not a
Yeah.
bonus action.
Yep.
So that's reasonable. Casting, like if you were just playing this as a 7th level character that is not, multi-class or something like that, not a bad deal.
And that was probably their initial thoughts when they threw this thing in there. It's like, oh, it's perfectly balanced at 7th level if you're just
all
a
things should
wizard or druid.
Yeah. But as soon as you can upcast it,
Yeah.
It's a problem. Big
because
problem.
the damage ramps up on this thing. Like it is a very quickly moving up because of how much it increases with just even one level. It goes from an extra 2d8 per attack to an extra 48 per attack on top of that Scorching Ray. Even if you don't upcast that Scorching Ray, if you also upcast that, then you're getting more rays and more attacks.
And again, like if you're using 2014 rules, which it explicitly says in the PHB 2024 that you can use those old rules. So if somebody says, "Oh, I don't want to play any of these 4 wizards that are in the 2024 rules. I want to play a Blade Singer," you have a problem.
And let me tell you, nobody wants to play any of the 4 base wizards, that are in
no, they're boring. They're boring.
Yep.
Yeah, it's. I mean, there have been some good changes in the 2024 rule book, but man, they just. I hope they actually issue an official addendum that says, hey, we actually meant this to be plus a 1d8 per level, because even plus 1d8 per level upcast, it's bad, but it's not terrible. I would personally have done plus 2d8 per 2 levels, so you're not even thinking about it until you're casting your level 11, casting 6 level spells.
That was always a thing. They would release errata back in the day,
and they should for this. I'm sure they will.
I hope so.
Because I haven't really paid attention to it because there hasn't been enough to make me look into it. But I imagine that if you look back, there's 2014 errata. That probably came out in 2015 and 2016.
Oh, I'm sure there is. Yeah.
And of course, there's always those backlogs of sage advice and things like that of people clarifying rules as intended versus rules as written.
Of which I disagreed with most of those.
Some of them, yeah.
We talked about him a lot on this podcast. He'd always bring up shit that what's his name, the guy who wrote Jeremy Crawford. He'd always bring up things that Crawford wrote, and I'm like, no, that's wrong, just over and over. Yeah, I definitely would like to see an errata for this one.
I mean, at my table, if and when I run a 2024 or 5R game, I will definitely errata it, and I don't tend to have the type of player that decides to do the 2 levels of fighter dip, 2 levels of fucking warlock dip in order to get the most twink build. Most people I play with are just like, I want to be a paladin. I'm just gonna be a paladin. That's what I do, and that's it. And
you don't have to
fine.
twink. You don't have to twink build as a paladin. You're just a paladin.
Well, in 5R, I guess it's not as ridiculous as it is in. I mean, paladins are always gonna be great. They're
just really good.
They're just really good. But I mean, the fact that you can only smite once a round is a significant change. It's significant.
So
it means you can't just Nova down Strahd in one round.
Yeah, I am playing in the Strahd campaign, but I'm also playing in a second campaign. And last night, we had a fight against 3 shadow demons. We're 4th level.
Oh my god!
They're CR4 monsters, and we had a paladin. And the combat lasted all of 3 rounds, as the paladin used 3 smites. And they are all vulnerable to radiant damage.
Yeah, of course. I mean, that's where paladins shine. I mean, I will say that if you're going to a game where you're playing, you're going to be fighting undead all the time, or demons, stuff like that. You got to have a paladin. Somebody's got to play one.
Yeah, paladin's where it's at for that.
Yeah, paladins are fucking awesome. I played one and lost up to 16th level. Kind of sucky in the beginning, but by 16th level, you're a fucking god. Like I was killing everything.
Yeah, absolutely. But enough grumpiness about Conjure Minor Animals. Let's just, at this point, I imagine at our tables we will house rule it until there's an official errata. But I mean, even like the big name podcasters and build creators like Treant Monk are like, I will never allow this on my table without it being house ruled. There's no way.
Yeah.
This is dumb. It does 2 to 3 times the amount of damage of somebody else of that level that is a high DPS character. There's no way. Like, you can't, and then you end up having to try to, create challenging encounters around somebody who happens to have this thing, and God forbid you end up having a druid in the party with the wizard or bard who ends up doing this sort of thing.
Like, multiple characters with it, and then
absolutely not.
I mean, you could build an entire party, every one of them being capable of doing this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and that would. I mean, I've talked enough about fucking silvery barbs on here, and with one person having silvery barbs, it's okay, it's fine. But you get multiple people, and then it becomes a fucking problem.
Well, that is the problem, is that everyone in D&D casts spells now, and so it's so easy to get especially low-level problem spells like that.
Oh, yeah.
Sure, when your one bard has it, that's cool. Let the bard have fun and silvery barb stuff and be cool. Awesome. When your bard and your wizard and your sorcerer and your warlock all have it and are constantly using it, it is obnoxious.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, I was telling Kristian that I'm porting over some characters from D&D Beyond into Roll20 right now for my Throne of Bloodstone game, which is beginning tomorrow, and I just noticed not one but 2 of the characters have silvery barbs. I'm like, come on, guys, come on. Okay, hey, he succeeded on that save. It's like, roll it again, Dan. Silvery barbs. Okay, Yeah, he succeeds that time. It's like, roll it again, damn it. I'm like,
Yeah.
come on, guys.
Just make them
the-
fight nothing but Rakshasas who are immune to that spell because it's not high enough level.
Yep.
And then they'll they'll be like, that's fine, but everyone you fight from here on out, you've broken the Silvery Barbs truce, so everyone you fight from here on
know
out
what?
is immune to first level spells.
Or
You know what?
has silvery barbs.
Or
It's just
use the
So,
use the old LARP rules, immune to stuff that sucks.
yeah. So the campaign that I'm playing in, I'm playing a wizard who has silvery barbs, and we have a bard who has silvery barbs. And while that is definitely fucking annoying, I'm at least sort of offsetting it by I randomly memorize my spells every day, so I don't have silvery barbs most of the time. But the few times that we both had it, it's really fucking annoying for the DM.
the game I'm running right now is it's a high level game. We're starting at 17th level or continuing at 17th level. I kind of don't care if they use it on most things,
Yeah,
just
at that level.
because I'll wait and like, okay, you guys done? Any more reactions? Okay, legendary resistance, great. He makes a save anyway. Moving
Yep.
on.
Yeah. Or I make my second attack and my third and fourth and fifth attack.
Yeah.
Yeah, at the highest level, it's not too bad. It's just most games don't go over 12th level.
Yeah, that's
With good
absolutely true. Which
reason.
is why I'm kind of interested in this high level game, just because it's gonna be ridiculous, I'm sure.
I love high level games. That's where I have the most fun. Starting at 10th level is where I want to begin at. So tell us what you're doing for this game, because I know you want to.
Oh my god!
Even
Tell
you
us
may not
about the
want to.
module.
Yeah, you may not want to talk about it, but we want to hear about it.
Okay, so this has been considered. I read a couple of articles about people who have read through it or run this before. It is considered either the most metal or the most mental module of AD&D second edition. It was sort of the fourth entry in the quote unquote Bloodstone series of modules, which were made exclusively for the battle system that came out back in the 80s, which was D&D trying to go back to wargaming. Essentially, they wanted to basically run big battles that the PCs then can have a hand in. I
and
am
sell
uninterested
and
and
sell
sell more miniatures.
yeah, sell miniatures. I
Yeah.
actually own that book. So
Yeah, so and I'm not interested in that. I definitely wasn't interested in that whenever this module came out when I was 10, and nor could I afford such things. But the reason I pulled this module out is because I traded off with another DM and I ran all of the 16 modules in Candlekeep Mysteries. And the final module, trying to limit spoilers in case anybody actually plays it and doesn't know anything about it, is that there is a big plague that affects all of the Sword Coast, kills a lot of people, and the primary villains behind it are Orcus, Jubilex, and Zugtami, the demons of the abyss, of the prince of the undead, the what is it? I think the Lord of Slimes and
yeah, the
Oozes,
Lord of
and
Slimes and Oozes.
yeah, in the Queen of God, what's her name? Zugtami.
Yeah, Zuktamoy.
Zugtamoy, I'm sorry.
She
Yeah,
molds
Yeah,
and
she's the
mold.
queen of demon queen of fungi.
Yeah.
So essentially this terrible plague affects all of the Sword Coast, and it's the capstone module of Candlekeep Mysteries, and it ends at level 16, and the PC save as many people as you can, but it's one of those things where you do the best you can, but you still fucking fail. Like a lot of people die, and it's terrible. So the PCs at the end of it are like, oh man, we got to get some vengeance against this. We got to go after like Orcus and these demon queens and demon princes and stuff. And we're like, and at the end of it was about 2 years ago when I ended that campaign, and I was like, I'll figure something out. Yeah, that sounds fun. Maybe you guys can throw down against Orcus. Whatever, sure.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
It'll be fun. You
Do
guys
like
will
a
die. It's
high
fine.
level one shot or something or
Yeah,
other.
sure. And then I was just on a whim, I Googled, are there any D&D modules where you fight Orcus? And this module comes up, and it's called the Throne of Bloodstone.
Yeah.
And if you look at the cover, it is metal as fuck. It's
You
got
s-
like
you you s-
these two big skulls flanking this like flaming pit, and you got Orcus in the background with a great sword, and he's like rearing it back, and his mouth is open and fangs and everything, and the skulls are glowing red. It looks like the cover of a heavy metal album from like 1986. It's pretty awesome looking.
So you sent me a picture of this thing. It's Forgotten Realms Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, and I quote the top of the module
Uh-huh.
for characters level 18 to 100 by Douglas Niles and Michael Dobson. You sent me a picture of this, and my first response was, "That's fake."
Yeah. Yeah.
I said,
You would think so.
That's not a real thing. That can't be."
But it's not.
It's not. It's not. Yeah. And so I looked this up and was like, this no way, because I saw that same thing. I was like, for character levels 18 to 100. I'm like thinking back to all the time I played first edition, second edition. I'm like, we never got much higher level than like 13th, 15th, because back in the day there was no like, hey, everyone just level up. It was always, oh, you killed X number, X, Y, and Z, gained X number of experience points, and then
Yeah.
those millions of experience points required to level up past a certain level was just impossible unless you're like a thief. I think just jumped up to
Yeah.
was like level 17 when everyone else was level 12 or something like that. And of course, also in first and second edition D&D, only humans could get that high level.
Yeah.
Everyone else was capped, except maybe the
Yep.
thief. I think thieves could maybe go up a higher level as every other race. But I was like, what the hell is this 18th to 100th level? That's so crazy. So I read through it, and the synopsis I saw of like, this is the most metal and or mental module you've ever read is pretty freaking accurate. Just a summary. The summary is this: there is a stalemate in some place called the Bloodstone Lands, which is basically a part of the Forgotten Realms that I'd never heard of, after having played in the Forgotten Realms off and on since I was 10.
Yeah.
Never heard of this place.
I've
It's
never heard of it.
somewhere far to the east of the Moonsea. It's got terrain kind of similar to the Dragonspine Mountains. If you're familiar with that, uh, it's not quite as far over where the Red Wizards of Thay are, but it's vaguely mentioned because like there's this that is threatening lich named Zengi, the Witch King, who's threatening the people of Bloodstone and the gathered armies that are fighting his armies, which is led by the grandfather of assassins, which apparently is something you end up fighting. Somebody you end up fighting in the previous module.
Old Grandpa Knife.
Old grandpa of assassins and the Bandit King, but also an army of undead. And there's a stalemate at Bloodstone Pass. Basically, north is this place called Vasa, where the Witch King is ruling, and to the south is the Bloodstone Lands. And essentially, I guess in the previous three modules, you end up, you're already high level because the first one starts at 15th level, then goes 16th, and 17th to 18th to 100th. But the pre-gen characters that come with those modules, there's a guy named Sir Gareth Dragonstone, I think is what his name is. Sir Gareth Dragonsbane. He's a paladin. He's a real generic ass paladin. But he has companions. His companions are Sir Olwyn the Forest Friend, a human ranger. And if you look at the images in this book,
It's
holy,
fucking Errol Flynn.
it is just Errol Flynn's version of freaking Robin Hood. That's all it is.
Yeah.
Friar Dugald, the cleric of the Order of Saint Dionysus. Sir Riordan Parnell, a half elf bard, slash 8th level fighter slash 9th level thief. Sir Celadon Kearney, 8th level half elf magic user, and 22nd level thief acrobat. And Sir Emlyn the Grey, the court wizard of Bloodstone, 19th level human magic user. And Kane, master of spring, human
Of
monk.
course. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, Kane, of course.
You hear the name Kane immediately. It's like, oh, he's a fucking monk.
There's more. And I want to quote this to you, because right after those pre-gen characters that they provide you with, which are the ones that were in the previous three modules, they say there's a big bold title that says pre-generated 100th level characters. quote, "We don't really believe that anyone has ever earned a 100th level character in the sense that a character was started at level 1 and worked their way up to in a normal way. On the other hand, there's always the temptation to play just once a character of ultimate power. These characters are patterned after great heroes of mythology. Their descriptions herein bear little or no resemblance to their legends and lore entries, but use them as templates to create special 100th level characters for this adventure and this adventure alone. The Legends and Lore volume describes the effect of character ability scores above 18. So the first character is Perseus, Immortal Warrior, a 100th level human fighter paladin. With a 25 strength, 17 intelligence, 19 wisdom, 18 dex, 25 con, 20 charisma, base armor class of 6, because I guess the guy can't wear armor? I don't know. But he's got 390 HP. And this is, thinking back, this is
That's a lot of fun.
second edition stats. That's an amazing amount of HP.
A 20th level fighter at that, and might have had 90 hit points. Somewhere in that
yeah. If you rolled well, because there was no taking average. Oh no. You rolled every level. Next is Circe, the Black Sorceress, a 100th level human magic user illusionist. She, and as a magic user, 177 hit points.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I didn't have that. I did not have that many in fucking 5e at 30th level.
And when I say she's a 100th level human magic user / illusionist, she has all the spells of basically a 20th level magic user and all the spells of a 20th level illusionist. Because why not?
Because they're different. Yeah.
Hermes, the ruler of thieves, a 100th level deep known thief / 7th level illusionist.
What?
I don't know, man.
Why is he a deep gnome?
I don't know. It's got more cool abilities, I guess. 240 hit points in him too.
Hold on, wait, but no, that's cheating. He's 107th level. He's
it's fine. Only the highest level counts, apparently. Artemis of the Forest, a 100th level human cleric / 23rd level Hierophant druid. So she has all the spells of a cleric and a druid.
Yeah.
So
fantastic.
Those are the 100th level characters that they present you with as options and what you could do. And then there's a couple of pages on how to run a game for 100th level characters, which I'm not gonna get together, go through all the stuff they wrote down because it's stupid. Like it's just dumb.
Rule number one of running.
In summary, it's like 100. They basically say 100th level characters are not 10 times more powerful than 10th level characters because in D&D you basically just gain more hit points and more ability to do more things per day than you could before. It's they're still basically the equivalent of 20th level characters that are a little hardier. Says to apply the rules strictly, and then also never give a 100th level character an even break ever. If there's a result that would have an instant death, make sure that instant death happens.
Yeah. Yeah. Rule number one of running a game for 100th level characters is don't.
Yeah, don't run that game.
So I read through this, and obviously I had no desire to run at 100th level characters, or even try to explore what that would mean in 5th edition. But I took the 16th level characters, I slapped another level on them, so they're all 17th level characters. So all the casters can cast 9th level spells. They've all got some pretty cool items because again, we ran this Candlekeep Mysteries game for almost 2 years, and there were some side quests and some one shots that we went through in it, and so they all have some decent stuff. But the gist of this game, and let me just read through the chapters here. Chapter 1, Citadel of the Witch King. Pretty straightforward. You gotta go fight a lich. Not a big deal.
Yeah.
For a bunch of 17th level characters, or shouldn't be. I will say that there are quite a few very Gygaxian traps that are. When I say Gygaxian, I mean they're instant death.
Yeah.
And nearly unavoidable because there's no real way for you to determine that those traps are there.
Yeah, you chose the wrong choice in the puzzle, and there was no clue as to what the right choice was. You just die.
Yeah.
Like for example, there is a walkway on the top of this circular wall surrounding the Witch King's tower, and like a bunch of 17th level characters. They're just gonna fucking fly over this thing. They're not gonna try to pass wall through it or burrow through it or something like that. They're just gonna fly over it. But maybe if they, they see the walkway, maybe they'll come down into the walkway. The walkway is, of course, not an illusion. So true seeing or anything like that won't actually see through this. But there is a thin layer of floating material on the top that looks like a stone walkway, but actually it's 10 feet deep of fucking acid. And if you land on it, well, you lose your equipment and you're going to take, like, I think 20 D10 acid damage.
Yeah,
So,
that's always the worst. The worst is losing your equipment. As we
Yeah.
know from
yeah.
LARPing, nothing hurts worse than losing your magic items.
One of my
Yep.
complaints about third edition D&D and also Pathfinder was Mordenkainen's disjunction, because once you get to high level play, you're going to run into a motherfucking wizard who's going to basically just destroy all of your magic items, which
Yeah.
then makes it because magic items were so much more important in earlier editions like that. You just, like, powered down 3 levels essentially if you just all of your equipment just basically is now just baseline long swords and full plate.
Yep.
I'm actually quite glad that's not a thing in 5th edition anymore.
Oh, I agree. Like destruction of magic items, I don't think it needs to completely go away, but it needs to be rare, and it needs to be it needs to be very, very rare, and it needs to be very difficult to happen.
Yeah,
Or it's something you telegraph to your players so that they know there's that risk ahead of time.
You let this wizard keep casting his ritual for 4 rounds, he's going to end up, like, destroying all magic within the city or something like that.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, you just can't just show up and, like, hey, wizard's here, Mordenkainen's disjunction, your magic items are gone.
Yeah,
Because
one spell
the
and all your
players
stuff.
spend the next, like, 20 minutes, like, stripping shit off their character sheets, and my AC is only a 20 now instead of a 24, and yeah, it's
Pain
not
in the
fun.
ass.
That's not fun for anybody, is what that is. Okay, so the Citadel of the Witch King, the first one, it's pretty straightforward adventure. Otherwise, the Witch King himself is obviously a more powerful version of a standard lich. He's like a 30th level former Red Wizard of Thay that turned himself into a lich some 30 years ago, or 300 years ago. Made a deal with Orcus, but the caveat is that you can't just kill him because Witch has a phylactery. The phylactery happens to be in the abyss, sitting on the throne that Orcus is sitting on. So that's a problem.
Of
So
course.
you kill the guy, but he's going to come back. And the reason you know that he's going to come back is in the beginning of chapter 2. And I gotta read some quotes to you guys. Into the Abyss is the name of chapter 2. So the first thing that happens once you get to the magical gate that leads to the Abyss is a little bit of well-timed divine intervention. Ahem! A polite throat-clearing noise from behind you causes you to spin around, weapons and spells at the ready. But instead of another demonic threat, you see a short, stocky little man with huge angel's wings wearing a white robe. He calmly puffs on a cigar as he looks at you. I'm St. Solars, pleased to meet you. Indeed, this is supposed to be spoken with a Texan accent. This is Saint Solars, the Twice Martyr, patron saint of Bloodstone Pass, whose sigil is the Yellow Rose and Lone Star. He magically conjures a table with a large pitcher of beer and enough mugs for everybody. I guess you figured out by now that bad hombre you've been fighting is Orcus himself, and the meanest dude this side of the Pecos. St. Solar says, taking a deep swallow from his mug. He doesn't explain what exactly the Pecos is. The big boss, old Bahamut, don't like Orcus much, and especially don't want him messing around this plane, you understand? The only way to corral that there demon and get him off your backs once and for all is to corral that big old stick of his and bring it up to me and my spreading mercurial way over in the 7 heavens, and I'll tell you how to get rid of it. Any questions?
And this is the Forgotten Realms.
This is the Forgotten Realms!
Plus Texas.
And because apparently this is just completely scripted and there's no role-playing involved here, you look at each other, and then one of you finally asks, are you talking about stealing the Wand of Orcus from the Abyss and bringing it to the 7 heavens? Yup, St. Solaris says, scratching himself. The gleaming surface of the Mercury pool, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so not only is this character, like, intentionally just a fucking Texan, like, it is literally one of the actual people that worked at TSR. The art looks just like a chunky gamer, middle-aged gamer wearing a bathrobe with giant wings just sketched on his back. It's like somebody doodled themselves at lunch one day and it's like, can you put this in the book? But it is only made even more ridiculous because the guy is talking to, again, as Jay said, Errol Flynn as Robin Hood, along with like classic wizard you see on the side of a full conversion van from 1979, like casting a spell. Like the art is just not the best of TSR. I'll tell you that much.
Kind of
But
gone downhill by this point.
this whole Saint Solars, in addition being based upon both the look and personality of somebody who works at TSR from Texas, he also has a place in, as was mentioned, in the Seven Heavens.
Yes, his citadel.
His citadel is called Castle Alamo.
No, it's Alamo.
Alamo. There's apostrophe there. Yeah.
Yeah, there's an apostrophe there.
So yeah, that's the beginning of your trip into the abyss, and then he like restores all of your clerical magic because by the book, you can't regain any spells of above level 2 as a cleric once you're in the abyss. But I don't think I'm going to run it that way because that just seems kind of lame.
That seems impossible.
It basically punishes a single character. Whoever ends up playing the cleric is like, hey, I'm glad to play the cleric. You have healing word.
Yeah.
Enjoy.
Also, enjoy going to the abyss.
You know, that does kind of fit in, even in Planescape in 2nd edition. If you were playing a cleric, you were supposed to basically count the planes in between, like where your god resided and where you were going, and you lost that many levels.
Yeah, it says here that Saint Solars will answer 7 questions asked by the PCs. He grants clerics full instant recharge of spells, but warns them that once they travel to the abyss, they cannot recharge any but 1st and 2nd level spells.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm not gonna run it that way. The module is ridiculous enough. I'm not gonna take away their healing.
Yeah.
But the rest of this chapter on Into the Abyss, gives you a brief overview of different places that you end up in the abyss because you have to basically find your way through the 666 layers of the abyss to Orcus. So it shows you the layer of Pazunia, the Palace of 1001 Closets, the Banks of the Styx, the Realm of Demogorgon, the Glacier Lair, the moving mansion of Yengu, Yunogu, the ghoul, the Knoll,
Knoll god
demon
or demon lord. Yep.
The Realm of Jubilex, which they might stop by there in order to punch him.
Yeah.
The Queen of the Demon Web Pits, the 65th layer.
If you've ever looked at the stats of Jubilex, he's literally the last one I would ever want to fuck with. Period.
Yeah.
Like I've read the stats of every one of the demon lords, and that's the last one I would ever mess with.
The Caverns of Zuggtmoy, and eventually the Realm of Orcus. You find your way to the 333rd layer of the Abyss, to the Realm of Orcus, the Realm of the Undead. And of course, there's some very metal-looking images that accompany this one. There's a city of zombies. Literally, it's like 10,000 zombies. The lair of a Tarrasque, a mountain of skeletons that literally animates into a giant bone golem.
I might have talked about the Tarrasque battle on here. If not, I've definitely told it to all of my friends and players because I remember reading about the Tarrasque fight in there, and it's the most ridiculous thing ever. The description is like 2 sentences of you see this large mountain-sized beast with giant horns running at you. This is a Tarrasque.
Yeah.
Like it's just very, very basic and generic description, and it fights until it kills one person and then leaves. like what the fuck?
So I've got to also so they have like these little blurbs, like, when you get to a special NPC and it gives you a little bit of background, gives you some information, and gives you their stats and everything. There's a certain demon, quote unquote, new monster in here, and they call it an NPC capsule when they explain this. There's one in the first chapter, some special Baylor that you end up fighting, but this one harkens back to the misogynistic days of TSR, and I've just got to read this to you because I was appalled when I read it. This is clearly either an incel or a guy that really hates his wife that wrote this.
Wow.
Well, it's from the 80s.
The name of the demon is the Dire Whiner. The Direwiner is a type of demon that typically appears as a large, ugly woman smeared in dirt and slime. Direwiners usually live in caves or swamps in the abyss and on most prime material planes. The special ability of the Direwiner is to whine. She whines, it acts as a suggestion. It is used to force the victims to the Direwiner to bring it food and treasure. Um, Her other abilities are complain and put down. Examples: whine, I want a nice magic ring like the one you're wearing. Complain, nobody likes me. I'm just a misunderstood old woman. Put down, you slob, you don't have the brains of a worm. And it continues on. Like, it's really bad. It's just like, really? This is the demon you guys came up with? Why the F is it in the realm of Orcus? Why?
I'm very curious which TSR employee talked
I
to them to get that shit in there.
Yeah, it's just I was I don't know. I'm still confused by it. I might throw it in there as just a hag, but I don't know. It's what the hell.
Yeah.
Um yeah, so anyway, City of Zombies, City of Liches, the Abyssian Fortress, there's an Abyssian Dragon, which actually sounds pretty freaking awesome. It's an abyssal red dragon, ancient red dragon. I'll have
Hell
fun
yeah.
writing up those stats. So yeah, you eventually there's the possibility that you could get in there and somehow make a distraction and then steal the wand of Orcus, but that seems pretty unlikely in his lair. Pretty
Seems yeah,
unlikely.
since he probably never lets it go.
Yeah. So my intent is to use uh stats for all the demon lords, basically the rewritten stats that Oh Hi Mark did from Reddit, because he just does just great unique stats that are not just sack of hit points with a couple of abilities. And I think it'll be a fun fight whenever they actually end up throwing down.
Yeah.
Um,
And
but just in case they end up actually defeating Orcus, taking his the wand of Orcus, and then fleeing to the seven heavens. They're not done, because why would they be
Why
done if this is a
why
level
would they be?
1800 game? They end up I'm not going to go through. There's more verbiage about talking in a Texas accent. A tome archon of Mercuria named Terex. These are my sword archons and serving as Saint Solars. Jesus, it's bad. But then there's the image of Saint Solars in front of the literal Alamo, like in the background with the classic wizard and Errol Flynn.
yeah.
Um, but he's then says, "Well, what you got to do next is you got to take this." You got you got to take this to Tiamat's den and defeat Tiamat and dip the wand of Orcus in her blood. So not only do you have to defeat Orcus, you have to go defeat Tiamat too.
So you
Oh,
have to kill a lich. You have to kill Orcus. You don't. They better not forget about finding the phylactery while they're
Oh my
down there.
god. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna tie the phylactery into the wand of Orcus and make it kill two birds with one stone. But yeah, it's just yeah, it literally says this foul artifact can only be destroyed in one way, and that is to be steeped in the black and foul blood from the heart of Tiamat, the Queen of Darkness. I cannot do this for you; only you can. I can transport you there, and if you are successful, transport you back. But only thus can we be rid of this evil. And obviously I'm not talking in a Texan accent. That's because it's Bahamut telling you this.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
So the Great Platinum Dragon himself is going to teleport you to the den of Tiamat to fight her. Not only fight her, to kill her. Like, not just like Tiamat's avatar, Tiamat.
Yeah. I don't remember specifically what challenge rating she is, but it's going to be It's going to be mid or high 20s at least. So
Yeah.
good luck with
So,
that.
yeah. And then, of course, if you end up doing that, then supposedly Orcus can no longer can no longer enter the realms, and his plague of undeath can no longer plague the realms themselves. Of course, other than like Merkel and other things, other creatures that end up bringing undeath into the place. But it's all about vengeance for these characters. But yeah, that's the gist of the module, and it's going to take a while. So I went ahead and created a sort of a prelude adventure. Essentially, they're hunting down a cult of a cult of Orcus, and they're going to begin it very much like all the other Candlekeep mysteries, which somehow involves a book. So we're going to hunt down a cult of Orcus. We'll find out it's being led by a vampire that was actually the high priest of Saint Solar's, and he's essentially just turned an entire village into vampires, and they're just they're high level characters. They're very, very cautious. They may cast a true seeing and see what's actually going on. They may not. They may end up fighting a whole bunch of vampires and not doing so great. We'll see what happens.
We can only hope.
They're
Yeah.
Texan vampires.
Yeah, Texan vampires. You know what I'm saying.
It's going to be Dust to Dawn all over again.
Yeah. So anyway, it's gonna be fun. But they're going to eventually find their way beneath, try to kill the vampire, get to its coffin before it regenerates, and in the coffin they'll find a book called The Throne of Bloodstone, which then will take them back in time to whenever this module is actually set, and they will be playing essentially as those characters in name, at least as far as anybody in Bloodstone's concerned. And then setting off on the quest, essentially saying that the original characters did not actually succeed. You guys can go back in time and change it. So it'll be all timey-wimey, but it's a high level bullshit game. I don't really care.
Nobody will care. They'll have a
No,
good time.
It'll have a great time. It'll be fine. So I'm excited to start this tomorrow. The characters that are playing in the game, we have a 17th level warlock of the Jinn. We have a 17th level battlemaster fighter, 17th level vengeance paladin, 17th level blade singer, 17th level lore bard, and a 17th level twilight cleric. Ooh.
Got most of your bases covered.
Yeah, a twilight cleric is quite good.
Yeah. It's at 17th level. It's a D6 plus 17 temporary hit points every round.
Yeah,
but considering some of the damage that some of the opponents will be dishing out, beat through it. So,
fuck yeah, that would be a fun one to play in. Like I said, I love the high level games, and that one just sounds ridiculous. How high level do you think they'll get to?
So what my plan is to level them up to 18 after they finish this prelude and get sucked into Bloodstone. Probably giving them another level when they hit the and defeat the Citadel of the Witch King, so up to 19. They'll be 20th level when they get down into the Abyss. If they decide to defeat any of the other demon princes like Zugtmoy or Yengu or any of those guys, I'd say a level for each of those. But once they hit level 20, what I'm going to do is just give them one of the boons from the DMG and just give them hit points.
That's what we did.
I mean, and that just seems like the easiest thing to do. So I would say they could get up to like level 24 by the end of it.
Okay, there actually is a epic level handbook for
like a third party one.
Yeah, it's third party. It was on the DM's Guild. I've got it floating around somewhere. I'll send you a PDF of it. So.
Okay.
But yeah, that and it doesn't really add a whole lot to it, but it sort of explains the process for.
Yeah, I mean, people like the feel of progression. So I don't want to just throw more magic items at them because you're still only limited to using 3 at a time.
Boons are better anyway.
Yeah,
being able to cast 2 9th level spells, that's where it's at.
Yeah,
that does sound good.
Yep.
But yeah, that's where I'm at on that. It's I'm excited to run it. It's oh my god, there's a boon of Orcus.
Oh no!
Oh, there's a boon of Orcus, Yinagu. Oh, we can have some heal turns. Hell yeah!
I mean, look, if somebody gets a hold of the
boon
Wand
of
of Orcus,
Demogorgon, oh yeah,
yeah. If somebody gets a hold of that, Wand of Orcus, maybe a heal turn is in order.
Yeah,
it could happen.
Yeah, some of these are very cool. Boon of Spell Mastery.
Yeah, that's the one I like because I played a sorcerer when we went up to level 30, and I had 2 boons, I think, by the point I hit level 30, and it was basically just to be able to cast more high level spells.
Yeah, and that's good. I mean, because you are very limited, but
Yeah,
um, but yeah, I have converted the entirety of chapter 1, which I think will take them a while. And I also have that prelude adventure, which will probably take them about 3 weeks to go through because we only play about 2 or 3 hours.
yeah. And you guys,
Um,
do you play every week or
we try to play every Monday. Yeah.
okay? Must be nice.
Yeah.
So let me find the last thing I wanted to talk about before we wrap this thing up. So I've been reading through the Tales of the Yawning Portal.
Oh yeah. Yeah. There's
Yeah.
a lot of good stuff in there.
Oh yeah. Like it's just a whole bunch of short adventures. I say short. Some of them are not really that short. Uh, but I came across one encounter, and I probably will not be able to find it now that I'm looking for it.
Of course.
Yeah, because that's how that shit goes. I should have had this pulled up before I started talking about it. It's in one of the early adventures, but there's here it is. So there's a cavern that has a roper in it. And I
Right.
don't. Let's see, which adventure is this? Hang on, let me find out so I know exactly
Yeah.
which one I'm talking about here.
Ropers are
Uh,
great.
okay, the Forge of Fury
Oh
is
yeah,
the
yeah.
yep. I don't know what level this is for. Third,
Not
uh,
terribly high level.
third to 5th level.
Woo.
Okay, so ropers are nasty fucking critters in the first place.
Oh, yeah.
In 3rd edition, we were damn near 20th level and ran into one of these things, and it nearly wiped the party.
Right.
So I don't know how they expect you to properly deal with this thing. It says that you can avoid it if so. That's
I
probably
actually fought one of those recently in we were 5th level in Keys from the Golden Vault. It was hard, but we didn't all die. But it was very hard because we were also fighting the roper right next to like a chasm with lava.
oh
So like
Jesus.
what like the warlock got grappled and could not escape the grapple, so she was just stuck over the chasm of lava. And I was
Oh
like, okay, and the DM's like, listen, you guys can attack the ropes, the tentacles, if you want to, but I'll tell you, like, whenever you do, like, the thing grows them back. That's not the way to defeat this enemy. We
yeah.
kind of figured that out with after like destroying 2 or 3 of them to get free people in order to get them out. So ended up having to it's my 8 strength fairy uh uh magic missiling the tentacle while I was like grappling onto her and flying down and over to the ledge that was only 10 feet away, and making an athletics check to do so, so we didn't both get burned up in lava.
Yep. Yeah, well, in this one, in the Forge of Fury, you're right next to a rushing river, and it can try to
Oh my!
drown you. like,
Excellent.
like
It grabs you and then just sticks you under the water.
Yeah,
yeah,
just stay there.
yeah. Well, so that's how you sort of spot this thing. If somebody is sneaking
Oh my god!
ahead, if somebody's sneaking ahead, a strand will come down, grab a fish, and then pull it up, so you can spot the roper like that. If nobody is sneaking ahead, you're gonna have to fucking deal with this thing.
Oh my god!
But that's not even what I thought was the coolest thing. So I read through this, and then if you manage to kill the roper, you get treasure. And I'm going to read this exactly. Cutting open the roper's stony gizzard reveals a ring of spell storing and 6 gemstones, a ruby worth 1,000 gold, 2 emeralds were 400, and 3 serpentines were 60 apiece.
Nice haul.
Okay, yeah, nice haul for that level.
Absolutely.
You find this if you cut it open.
Right. Right.
Okay, so did it just kill somebody in the last day or so that had all of that? Or do ropers not actually poop? I, because this is
That's your problem with it.
Yes. This is an ambush predator.
Oh my god.
It is an ambush predator. It's not going to leave corpses lying all around the place that it hunts, because then prey's not going to show up there when it sees fucking skulls and bodies all over the goddamn place. So I just figure ropers just don't poop. They just eat everything and store it somewhere.
I think
or they slowly break down anything, literally anything. It just might take more time for gemstones.
I think I had known that ropers had almost always had gems in them. I think I learned that in second edition.
Oh, okay.
But I had no idea about any of the other stuff. I mean, that's
I'm just curious. I guess I need to know about the ecology of ropers now.
No, the
You sure
Dragon
do.
Magazine article.
Dragon Magazine. I'm sure there's an article. In fact, I'm fairly certain there is one on ropers in there.
There's at least one like ecology of like aberrations or something like that, which I imagine they are.
They were always the ecologies were almost always specific monsters. It was deep dives into very specific.
Deep dive, Jay. I'd love to hear that.
Yeah, hey, that's good podcast material. If I can find it in the 400 plus issues of fucking Dragon Magazine.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I bet you there's some sort of resource out there where you can search them.
I'm sure. I just typed in ecology of ropers D&D and nothing pulled up immediately. So I gotta do. Oh wait,
deep dive.
Yeah, I gotta do a deep dive. I did not do any research on this. I just read that.
In Dragon Magazine number 232.
Are you kidding me?
I am not. The ecology of the roper, the terror in the dark.
All right, Dragon Magazine 232.
Hell
Got
yeah.
It.
Oh my
fucking
god.
Awesome.
Now you can find out if they can poop.
It's very important. How do they breed? How do they poop? I need to know these things.
Oh my god. That's ridiculous.
This is what makes this podcast. This podcast is me finding stupid shit to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, we found out that Etton's, God, what was the pregnancy time of an Etton?
Oh my god, no.
I think it's like half the term of a human, like 4.5 months or something.
Lord have mercy.
That's actually a question in the Trivial Pursuit D&D game, though.
Oh, there you go.
Yep.
Read this and discuss ropers.
Yep, that's for next week.
Oh my god, that's great.
Yeah, we were going to talk about Shadow Dark this week, but my stuff has not arrived. You guys,
I haven't gotten a chance to read through it yet, but yeah, I'd love to talk about that.
Me too. I got mine. I've poked through them.
Has anybody seen whether they have anybody has created a character sheet or character generator on?
Oh, there is
Shadowdarklings.net is a character generator for Shadow Dark.
Yeah, it's not.
But like a character sheet for Roll20 is what I mean.
I don't know if there's one for Roll20. They have it for Owlbear Rodeo and for Foundry.
What is Owlbear Rodeo?
Owlbear Rodeo is another VTT. It's also got an open source component to it, so it's quite popular for people that just really want the mapping and stuff in a character sheet, but don't need all the bells and whistles.
Okay.
I'm not immediately seeing anything for Roll20 Shadow Dark character sheets, but do a better search and you might find something.
Right.
All right. Well, thank you guys for joining us. I think we'll wrap the podcast up here. We've done about an hour. So.
Oh, and guess
cool.
He didn't show up.
I know he didn't.
No, I know.
Oh well, he'll be here next week, I'm sure. So, yep. All right.
Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah.
Guys.
Same.
Later, guys. Bye, Craig.
Bye, Craig.